rhyme. Chartamiss rhyme. Reading comics, toys are hella sick, hella whacking it. Taking bad hits, taking bad shits. Chartamiss, subscribe.
The emphasis on the bulges.
Hey, what's up you guys? Chartamiss Prime here doing another Transformers figure review on the Transformers Masterpiece MP-21 Bumblebee figure. I gotta give a big thanks to Budget Stark for making this review possible. Thanks so much for looking out for me and sending this over, man. And if you're trying to get your Bumblebee figure, you can get big. Get your big badass toys at BigBadToyStore.com. Click the link in the description below. Now thanks to Anthony, he actually got me the collector coin version over here, which I'm really stoked about. I've never gotten one of these collector coins before. I'm usually not really into them, but I think this looks very, very cool. It's inside a plastic casing that's inside this card stock. Looking pretty nice, actually. Look at that sculpted face. Looks pretty nice looking Bumblebee. Digging that. It says MP-21. You get the silhouette of Bumblebee. It says Bumblebee Autobot. It has this little flap right over here. So when you fold this out, you can put this right over here, and then you can prop the collector coin up on display like that. So you can turn around, look on the back over there, and he's upside down. Or you can set it up like this too. You can see the Autobot logo on the back side of that. So that's kind of neat. So if you have a coin out, you could have it set up like that. If you're gonna leave the coin in there, then you could have it set up like this. Pretty cool. Now coming back to the packaging over here, you can see Bumblebee right there in both modes, and we see Spike looking really, really cool, transforming Spike. And then right here on the side, you can see the Volkswagen Beetle, which I'm stoked to finally see. You know, we've been waiting for this for a while. Get this foil writing right there, Transformers Masterpiece up the top. Really cool pose, Bumblebee right there. I think that looks pretty nice. Then some product shots right here. And right here it says Mushi Mushi, I Cookadoo. And not much at the bottom. Alright, let's get to it and crack this thing open. So here's Bumblebee and Spike out of the packaging, and I love the Masterpiece line. I really like these figures a lot, especially the Bumblebee. You know, you get two figures with this set over here, but the Bumblebee is the one I mostly wanted. You know, just very, very cool. Finally, we got a Volkswagen Bumblebee over here in Masterpiece scale and everything. And then this Spike is actually not too bad either. Let's take a closer look at the accessories that come with these figures. We get this cool instruction booklet over here. We get a picture of Bee right over there from the cartoon. And this Japanese exclusive faceplate right over here has its own little instruction booklet. Thank you again so much, Budget Stark. We got our standard issue Masterpiece collector card right over there. Cybertronian Espionage Bumble. And then on the back right there, you can see the specs written out. And we could add this to my ever-growing Masterpiece card collection. Yeah, flip it over. Boom. Yeah. This Spike figure is pretty cool. I'm really surprised that they went in this direction making this thing, but I like it. I like the paint apps. They're very clean. You get some reds right over there, right in the chest section. The face sculpt looks pretty good too. It's a little tricky to see with this little dome right on there, but you can see his little face. His eyes aren't painted in. Looks similar to the one that came with MP-10 Prime. You can see some nicely sculpted lines right over here. He's got his little blasters right there attached to his hands. Some nice sculpted lines and everything. Come around the back, you can see he's got some jet propulsion or something going on right there. I like how you can see his little sculpted fists right there. I think that's pretty cool. And the legs are nicely sculpted and built into proportion too, so overall it's looking pretty good. Unfortunately, the articulation isn't really that great. There you go. The elbows pop out of these ball joints very easy. You can just pop them right back in, and then they just pop right back out. And that's because you cannot straighten the elbow at all. But the head does look up, and I'll show how that works in the transformation. You do get shoulders that move up and down over here. These elbows just rotate. You can bend them in a little bit, but don't try to straighten them out at all. So that's kind of a bummer. He does have hip flaps over here that allow for hip articulation, so you can get him to move outward that much. He only kicks forward a little bit. Not that much. I guess that's not terrible. And he does bend at the knee a little bit. And the ankles don't really move. They can move up a little bit, I guess, but that's just due to the transformation. It's a pretty short figure. He stands less than 4 inches tall. Here he is next to Masterpiece Frenzy, and then the Human Alliance Mr. Gold that came with Soundwave. I think Mr. Gold and Spike over here fit into good scale with each other. Unfortunately, I can't find my MP-10 Spike figure. I saw Optibotimus's review where he compared the two Spikes, and they're more or less about the same scale. Transformation for this guy is pretty simple. Will you take us away, Bumblebee? Alright, so the first thing I like to do is remove the little clear dome right there. And as you can see, you can tilt the head all the way up on Spike. When you put the dome back on, you want to turn it 90 degrees and then slap it right back on there. And there that goes. And then you want to flip these. Damn it, that panel keeps, that ball joint keeps popping out on me. You want to take the arms and then fold them outward like that. And then you have wheels that pop out right over here. So you do it again on this side. Rotate that down. And then pull the wheel out right over here. And then you want to take this whole chest piece, and that's going to rotate downward. He has these shoulder pieces, and they're going to move those in. And then we're going to keep these out, and we could actually rotate them around 180 degrees. 180 degrees on this side as well. And there's this tab that sticks out of his leg that's going to go into here. So we got to get those legs transformed first. He has wheels that pop right out of there in the ankle section. And then we're going to fold this all the way around. Do the same thing on this side. Fold this, swoop that around. It has two hinges right over here. And then fold the feet in. and then connect this right over here. It has a tab that connects, and then we can get this collapsed in here, so now it's just one solid piece. And then we could start forming these arms, getting connected into those tabs I was mentioning earlier. And that's all into place. And then you want to rotate the wheels all the way down over here. And there he is in his vehicle mode. And he rolls okay. It's kind of mostly skidding around more than really rolling around. I think this is really neat looking. I actually really like this piece, and I'm happy to include it into my collection. You can see the little pin right there in his neck, so his head can look up. You can see that a little better, but it looks pretty good. I'm really liking how this looks like one uniform piece over here. I think that's very nicely done. Digging the panels on the side again. So yeah, not a bad mode over here. Pretty solid on the bottom too. So it's pretty cool. And then here he is compared to Bumblebee. So there's both of their vehicle modes. And speaking of Bumblebee, let's take a closer look at this Volkswagen Bug over here. Now, I do have one big complaint with this figure, and that is the color yellow they chose for this. It is very dark compared to what I'm used to seeing. Actually, even compared to this McDonald's Bumblebee or Burger King Bumblebee, this guy, and this is supposed to be a movie Bumblebee, he's supposed to be the orangish color. He's even brighter than this Masterpiece figure right over here. And here's G1 Bumblebee, so I really wish this guy had the same color scheme. You know what I mean? I don't know. I like the brighter yellow, but you know what? It's not the worst thing in the world. I'm still very happy to have the figure. We got a nice decoed Autobot symbol right over there, looking pretty cool. Some detailed silver paint apps. Very nice. I obviously would have preferred a chrome bumper over here, but that doesn't really bother me too much. I really like these detailed lights right over here. We get some clear plastic right there for the headlight right up there. And some silver for the rims, looking pretty cool. I'm really digging this blue translucent plastic. This is really, really cool. I dig that a lot. I think that was a very smooth move. I like the windshield wipers are actually painted silver. Another VW logo right there. Then you get a spare tire. And looking underneath over here, you get some weapon storage, which is always very nice. Just like the Wheeljack figure, you have to attach the rear view mirror separately. It doesn't have a rear view mirror for the right side because this particular vehicle does not have one. And you get two of these. So you just pop them off. It's like a modeling tree right there. So if you lose one, you get the extra one in case. I feel like the roof of this vehicle isn't completely flush over here. I don't know. A little bit of gappage, but again, not a big deal. And then looking at the back, you have a spare tire, which is really cool. And you don't have to have them wearing the spare tire. You could actually pop out the license plate over here, which is really, really nice. That just goes right in there. Take this out, plug the license plate right in there, and it stays pretty well. You just take this tab and plug it right into the port right over there. And it doesn't really get into the way of the gun or anything, or the wheels, so that looks pretty cool. And he still rolls very well too. Nice. You can see some of that detailed sculpt over here looking pretty good. Wish he had a I Heart New York right there on the license plate, right? He doesn't have it on the front, but yeah, that would have been cool. Now, I honestly prefer Bumblebee having the spare tire on his back right over here. Now, in vehicle mode, Bumblebee's just a little over 4 inches across, and he's only about 2 inches tall. And here's MP Bumblebee compared to Burger King Bumblebee, G1 Bumblebee, and High Octane Transformers 4 Bumblebee. And you can see this orange right over here, or yellow, I don't know what you want to call it, but it's the same orange color that we get on the MP Bumblebee. It's just kind of crazy seeing the size differences between the High Octane and the Masterpiece over here. The Masterpiece is a little bit shorter, but 4 times as expensive. And to compare Bumblebee to your average Autobot car over here, we have him next to Lambor and Spike right here as well. So you can see how much larger Lambor is next to Bumblebee, which is good. Yeah, I think that makes a pretty good scale over there. I like how this looks. I do like the transformation for this figure. It's pretty simple. Not as simple as G1 Bumblebee's transformation, but anyway, will you take yourself away, Bumblebee? Alright, so the first thing you gotta do is take the weapon out from the bottom over here, and I just picked this out right over there. I love the metallic blue sheen for this gun over here. This is a very nice look, and there's also some really nice sculpting in it too. This is pretty awesome. You can see the handle just stores right in that slot. And then you want to detach the door sections over here. You want to loosen that up, because that's connected to the front, and it's all going to swing out like that. So I think that's pretty cool. You could split this apart over here in the front, and then we could swing this down, and then the knees need to be straightened out, and they kind of click into place. There it goes. And same thing with this side over here. There that goes. Then you want to wrap this whole section around, and it's going to tab into that little piece right over here. It's kind of hard to see, but you're going to take this, fold it, and fold it again. Same thing over here. Fold it once and fold it one more time. That little yellow tab goes into this little space, not that little port right there. So there that goes. And then you can fold the wheels in. Fold the wheel in on this side over here too. And then he has this little space right over here. You want to take this flap and fold it into that little groove. And then it's going to sink in as you turn this up, which I think is brilliant. I love the way they did that. And then we can take the arms apart and swing them around over here. And these are going to detach from the panel. Detach this one right there. And then you can get this to all swing into place. And then you can rotate the arms 90 degrees, and then, or 180 degrees, and then 180 degrees right over there, and then pull the hands out. And then this little piece right over here actually has 2 hinges, so you want to flip it outward, and then fold it again, and then collapse it so it's at the bottom right there. And do the same thing to this other side. And there that goes. And then you want to take this back piece, rotate this 180 degrees, fold in this little bumper section. It's got a very stiff hinge to it, but it loosens up after a couple transformations. Fold that down. And then you want to push against the top of this panel over here, and you'll see a little space come up. There's that little space. You use your thumbnail to pick that out, and boom, you get your Autobot logo, and that's Bumblebee all transformed. And of course, you want to shift these shoulders up over here, but looking at this figure, oh man, this is so cool. I think they just really nailed the likeness of Bumblebee over here to the point where it just really hits the geek spot. I'm just very, very happy with this. This is Bumblebee over here. I'm really digging it a lot. This is the face that he came with, and he's missing some paint on the right eye. I don't know if you could tell, it kind of looks like he's winking, but there's definitely some paint missing on that right eye, and that is bothering me. But not that much, because this is not my favorite face sculpt out of the three. Now, one thing people have complained about is that this face is not really accurate. He doesn't have the lines coming across, you know, his definitive lines in his face. But I could see them sculpted over there. I have to really dim the lighting, but you could see, like, around the mouth, there's a line going right there. Around the eyes, you could see the lines, and going to the chin, you could see the lines right over there. Popping these off isn't very easy. I like to grab the horns and then stick my fingernail right in that little gap right there. So let's try this. Yeah, come on. Boom, there it goes. And then we can get this alternate face sculpt right in there, and it just goes right through pretty easily. And this one I like. That is the Bumblebee face I like. He's smiling, he's got his mouth open, the eyes are painted very well. I dig this one a lot. And there's a G1 toy head sculpt looking very cool. When I was a kid, I thought to myself, like, whoa, why doesn't he look like this? It looks so much cooler than the way he looks in the cartoon. So for me, having this particular faceplate is just awesome, even though I will most likely have him displayed with the happy face. And to get your face comparisons between the G1 Bumblebee right here and the Masterpiece, you can see they did a pretty good job. You get some nice detailed lines right over here in the back. Now, a little gripe of mine with this figure is that this little neck piece has a piece of plastic that came chipped off of it. So you get this weird white dot right there, and it's kind of like a Debbie dot or something like that. But yeah, it gets hidden as soon as he starts looking down, but he's a short figure, and I like him looking up, but yeah, that's kind of annoying. I like the sculpting on the Autobot logo. I think that's really cool, and these lines right here, I remember this from the cartoon. And the forearms have some nice lines sculpted in there and everything too. Not a fan of the hollow part right over here, but it doesn't bug me too much. And the legs look very cool on the figure too. Nice sculpted detail in there. It almost looks like there's a color difference between the thigh section and then the lower leg section right over there, which I think is pretty neat. I'm just really happy with how the proportions came out for this figure. You know, his feet don't look all gigantic or anything. They're not too small. I just think this is a great piece, man. I'm really, really digging it. Now for articulation, his head can rotate side to side. It can look up, as I showed already. He can look down a bit too. No neck pivot or anything like that. Due to the transformation, you can shift the shoulders downward, but you don't really need to. You can move them outward. You can rotate them forward. He does have a bicep swivel. He bends a little bit more than 90 degrees at the elbows. No wrist rotation. I kind of wish he had some. He does have a waist joint over here, and the legs move all the way outward. He can kick all the way forward and backwards. Upper thigh swivel. Single jointed knee, but due to the transformation, you can untab this, and you can get a double jointed knee in there, which kind of looks weird, but you know, you can mess with it. Then the ankle articulation is made so it can move down just a little bit. It barely moves up, and it has some inward ankle pivot. Yeah! Bumblebee stands less than 5 inches tall. Here's Bumblebee compared to some other MP Autobots. I think the scaling for this Masterpiece line is awesome. I think this is perfect. Bumblebee party, yeah! And here we have G1 Bumblebee, Legends Class Bumblebee, Classics Bumblebee, TF4 Bumblebee, and Video Game Bumblebee. And you can see that the movie and Masterpiece Bumblebees have the same exact color going on, man. To be honest with you, I think this is a clever ploy on Hasbro's part so that they can release an American version that has the brighter Bumblebee colors. And here he is next to the Marvel Legends Big Time Letdown Spider-Man. Now I can complain about the color choice for this figure all day long, but I still love this figure. It hits the nostalgia spot. This is Bumblebee. This is my favorite Bumblebee figure of all time. I just absolutely love this figure, and I highly recommend it. I hope you guys liked my video. If you did, please hit that like button, leave a comment, subscribe if you haven't already, and check out tformers.com for the latest in Transformers news, and check out the Sharmus Wank channel for the daily vlog. I'll catch you guys later. Peace. Pew, 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 pew.
That's crispy.
Is that you want to oh, shit. Hey, don't be a pinche joto, man. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button already if you haven't. Come on, man. Hit that subscribe or watch one of the videos below.
Hey!